Today, we're talking about dopamine. The dopamine blood sugar connection is key to blood sugar control. So, if you struggle with your diabetes and blood sugars despite doing everything by the book, I hear you. I've been there many times over the years. Diabetes is hard work, and blood sugars can feel impossible to control sometimes. But understanding the motivation hormone dopamine is literally a cheat code to long term blood sugar control. Now, I've lived with type 1 diabetes for over 42 years, raised two type 1 kids, and worked as a diabetes educator. And this dopamine diabetes connection is not talked about, and definitely something to pay attention to. And like I said, it's also the biggest cheat code yet to get blood sugars down and keep them down. In this 4-part video series, I share my month-long dopamine detox self-experiment. Giving up those quick fix mood boosters, I'll be sharing 5 things I gave up and 5 strategies used to manage a dopamine detox, and the amazing blood sugar results that you can expect if you decide to follow along. Before we jump into week 1, I need to explain what the heck is a dopamine detox. It's basically giving up or cutting back on those constant hits of dopamine or pleasurable things we reach for without thinking about it. Things like scrolling through social media, snacking on sweets or a bag of potato chips without thinking, binge watching TV for hours on end, drinking too much alcohol, mindlessly grabbing a glass without even thinking about it, and even too much coffee. Pretty much any quick fix, pleasurable habit that chews up your time and interferes with the productive things in your life. The idea is to reset your brain's reward system so you can focus on more meaningful activities. Why am I doing this as someone managing type 1 diabetes? Well, dopamine levels influence cravings, motivation, and even stress levels, all of which can directly or indirectly impact blood sugar control. By simplifying your daily habits and cutting out those quick fix dopamine hits that I mentioned a minute ago, you can gain better clarity and stability in both blood sugars and in life. As you will see, the first week was a huge challenge for me. And later in the videos, and in this video, you'll see how this can help you improve your diabetes control. You can see the positive results, and more importantly, how to apply it so you can better manage your diabetes and lower your blood sugars for the long haul. So here's where I started. My average glucose over the past month was 7.1 millimoles or 128 deciliters, depending on where you are. I've had a few highs and a few lows, but my time in range was 88%. My mood was all over the map, difficult to get up and go most days. Pretty low energy levels, especially in the afternoon. Now, here are 5 common things I'm giving up, or trying to give up, during this dopamine detox experiment. Please remember that I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing my experience as a type 1 diabetic, and this is not medical advice. So feel free to join me on this dopamine detox journey. And if you do join me, let me know in the comments below so we can support each other in giving up those brain-rotting habits. It'd be nice to have some company. The first thing I'm giving up, number 1, is social media scrolling, which is rampant nowadays. I don't think I do a lot of this. Well, okay. After this week, I think I did more than I thought I did. But I'm guilty of taking my phone into the bathroom. Oh, come on, we all do it. But by the end of the first week, like I said, I didn't realize how frequently I'd reach for my phone brainlessly and start scrolling. I definitely scrolled more than ever, but admittedly mostly recipes, not crazy videos with no substance. At least that's how I justify it. Thing number 2 that I gave up is watching TV and binge watching, especially during meals and late at night. I still watch TV, but I set a timer. So studies suggest that eating in front of a screen makes you eat more, and it makes sense. Popcorn and movies go hand in hand. And screen time late at night leads to poor sleep by sending signals to the brain that it's time to wake up, which lead to indirect issues of blood sugar, insulin resistance, and high blood sugar. Third thing I'm giving up, number 3, is using my phone first thing in the morning and right before I go to bed. It's similar to screen time. Before bed is the same reason as TV screen. Not grabbing my phone first thing in the morning is a bit different. By not checking notifications and getting that quick dopamine hit first thing, oh, I'm popular, people are trying to reach me, which I wish people wouldn't very often, but anyways. I tended to focus on positive things instead, leading to a better mood and a better start, which I'll get to later on in this video. The 4th thing I gave up was alcohol. Well, that was the plan. Giving up a couple of glasses of wine a few times a week was key in this dopamine detox experiment. Alcohol provides a quick hit of dopamine that requires little effort. You basically crack open a bottle of wine or your beverage choice and pour it into a glass, and it leads to increased heightened mood. But over the long haul, it leads to poor sleep, worsened mood, worsened blood sugars, anxiety, and it does a number of other things to it. So that was the second thing I gave up. The last thing I gave up, number 5, is coffee. I know, right? Coffee also gives you that quick buzz, boost of energy, and dopamine hit. However, I was drinking 3 to 4 cups a day. Coffee also caused a blood sugar spike that was unpredictable, so it made the detox list. Keep watching and you'll see how that addiction. You'll probably be thinking, well, what the heck is left to do that's pleasurable and fun? Well, there's a few things I left off the list, but anyways. Stay tuned and I'll share 5 strategies you can use to make through the first week of detox. The first few days of this dopamine detox, I'll have to be honest, was absolute crap. I hated it. It's been a huge challenge. I had headaches, I was tired, grumpy, couldn't sleep. I caught myself reaching for phone multiple times out of habit, sitting down in front of the TV to eat dinner without thinking about it. But I'm also noticing how much extra time I had when not scrolling or doing those quick dopamine fixes, like working on this video here. You might be thinking, will this really make my blood sugars better? Don't worry, the results will surprise you. So here are 5 things I did instead, substitutions, I guess, of those quick dopamine fixes listed a few minutes ago. Number 1, instead of drinking multiple cups of coffee, I started my day off with a cold shower. Major dopamine hit, but it requires discomfort and effort, and it lasts a long time. I'd also sit down and review my goals for the upcoming day and week. Admittedly, I wasn't able to give up my coffee during this first week, but tune into the next video to see if I finally kick that habit. Hit the subscribe and notification button so you don't miss it. At work, where I drink the rest of my caffeine, I switched to decaf tea. I drank a lot of it this week. Yeah, probably more than I've ever drank in my life. And I also, on occasion, would drink some fancy water. So you may need to get creative on this one. There are lots of other decaf options out there, like Starbucks has a great decaf Americano, which is my go-to. So let me tell you, you don't realize what you're addicted to until you literally give up everything. Number 2 substitution, and second biggest one for me, was alcohol. I do miss my wine a few times a week, but instead of having wine, I tried some non-alcoholic beers, and I'm actually enjoying them. These are like no-name brand beers I bought at the grocery store, and they're absolutely quite delicious. So I've had quite a few of those this week. I also downloaded some meditation apps, linked below, which made me reflect on my habits. These helped because no habits to jump into or lean on means being left with your own thoughts and emotions. And they were really intense, unexpected, and have been a big challenge. But the mindful meditation was key. Confession time. 2 evenings this week, I had a couple glasses of wine, and I'm okay with that. But what I learned was I was more aware of making the choice. It was a conscious choice. It wasn't just a reactive decision, just to, out of habit, grab a glass of wine. So it was a huge difference and a lot less than I normally would have in a week. So substitution number 3, instead of binge watching TV for hours at a time, I actually set a timer and I would limit my watch time. That's one thing I did. I also scheduled gym time and took new fitness classes. If people are relying on me to show up or I get penalized for not showing up, I'll show up. And it was a good distraction and great for my diabetes. I kept the dopamine detox plan front and center as well, all the time. I reviewed it daily, I journaled on it daily, and this awareness made decisions less reactive. Before reaching for that mindless, quick, pleasurable thing, I'd think first, dopamine detox. You're making a video on this. You're going to prove that it actually improves diabetes control. So I choose healthier options like walking, reading, or other productive. Substitution number 4, social media scrolling, which was not that hard for me, as I mentioned. Is this one hard for you? If it is, let me know in the comments. I started leaving my phone behind. I caught myself a few times carrying it into the bathroom, which is kind of gross if you think about it, or scrolling while waiting brainlessly. But keeping the detox front and center was key. By the second or third day, I'd reach for it less and less often, and I'd literally leave it on my work desk. So when the urge struck out of boredom, I had a book nearby, or I'd get up and move around. So the number 5 substitution for using my phone before bed and when waking. Once again, not a huge issue, but didn't realize how often and for how long I did scroll while lying in bed. I'm sure you understand. So I tried this instead. I would set my alarm at night before going to sleep and place my phone on the other side of the bed, the side I don't sleep on, so it's out of reach. Too easy, really. If the urge was there or I heard those dings at night, that's where it was challenged. But anyways, I'd also have a book handy if the urge to scroll on my phone at night was there. So I have a book beside my bed. I'd read that instead. I also use my new apps and listen to some guided meditations, which really helped. Let me know if you use your phone in bed in the comments. The first week showed how avoiding quick fix dopamine has helped to improve mood a lot, mental clarity, big time, energy levels, but most importantly, the rapid improvement in blood sugars and time in range. My blood sugar average dropped from 7.1 or 128 to 6.5 or 117 in a week. That's insane. and time in range went from 88% to 98% with no lows, zero lows, in a week. So you can also improve your blood sugars by joining me on this dopamine detox journey. I know this is just the first week, and there will be ups and downs, guaranteed. You'll be surprised, though, at what happens in week 2. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. See you next time.